The 805 Focus is brought to you in part by Nonprofit Connect. Nonprofit Connect provides superior leadership tools and resources so nonprofit leaders and board members can make valuable decisions to move their organization forward to a sustainable and vibrant future. More information on services online at nonprofitconnect.org.
Welcome to 805 Focus. I'm Dr. Cynder Sinclair with Nonprofit Connect, and we will be bringing you the latest on your favorite nonprofits, so get ready to be inspired. Our special guest today is Jessica Bixler, and Jessica is a founding board member of an organization called Santa Barbara Alternatives to Violence Project, and it's so fascinating. Welcome, Jessica.
Hi, thank you.
Oh, thanks for being here.
It's a pleasure.
And so, tell me more about this project that you actually helped to found.
Well, I helped found the Santa Barbara chapter.
Okay.
It's an international organization that works with refugees and people in countries where there's been extreme violence, and it started in the prisons on the East Coast 50 years ago. So it's pretty widespread in the penitentiary system. But we started the Santa Barbara chapter of Alternatives to Violence because of the violence and the crime, and there's a real need in this community. And I personally was a public school teacher and a home hospital teacher, and I would go into homes of these highly at-risk kids and teach them, and I saw the situation and how they were living and their disadvantages. And that's on one hand. On the other hand, my husband spent his career teaching at a private school locally, so I saw the haves and the have-nots, and I decided with a woman named Pat Hardy to join up with her to form a way to help our local youth.
Wow. Now, how long ago was this?
I think about 5 years ago.
Okay.
Yeah, we're about 5 years in.
So here you were, a teacher, and you saw a need, and you said, by George, I'm going to do something about that. And so you did.
Yeah, I with a small group of people, and we've slowly grown, and we're still pretty small.
Yes.
But we run workshops in the local community on weekends, and the participants can be junior high or high school level or adults, and the schools refer the students who have been in trouble. So if they've been fighting or doing drugs or truancy, they are up for punishment, but they can get out of some of their punishment by taking our workshops, and they also can have community service hours.
That's great. So where do your workshops take place?
We have an office space that some of the workshops take place downtown. We have a space in Isla Vista. We have had workshops at Elings Park.
And then you have, I don't know, special teachers or professionals or somebody that teaches those workshops?
We have facilitators that are trained, and quite a few of our youth have gone through the series of 3 weekend workshops and have become facilitators.
Oh, that's wonderful.
And it's really nice to see them be mentors to these kids that haven't had that before.
That is a great idea. So some workshops are for younger kids, some are for older kids, and some for adults.
No, we mix them.
You mix them all up?
Yeah, they're mixed. It's a heterogeneous group, and there were about 20 participants per workshop, and maybe 3 or 4 facilitators. So I think this weekend we're going to have 15 participants. So it's in that range.
So do the workshops usually happen on weekends? Or?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, so that they can go to school during the week.
And then, let's say a participant, how many workshops would they typically attend?
Well, there's the first workshop, the introduction, is called a basic. And then there's the advanced, that's the second one, and the third one is the training for facilitators. And once you reach that, then you can help co-facilitate. And as you become more skilled, you are eligible for a stipend. You get rewarded for your work. And on a lot of levels. And we have some evidence from the school districts that our participants have increased their GPA, decreased their truancy and fighting and getting along better with their families. So it does work.
That is good to know. And it's great that you're measuring that.
Yeah.
And that you're working so closely with the school districts.
Yeah. Well, once the kids get in our system, then we do the workshops, but we also have a lot of outreach coordination with kids that we're not a legal service, but there might be some situation where they need legal advice or drug treatment or substance abuse counseling, things like that. So there's a lot that's done in terms of community outreach and referrals. We refer a lot of our kids to these organizations.
So the kids are really incentivized to attend these workshops because they get community service hours.
Eventually they can get some money, but also really intrinsically they learn some skills to acknowledge why they're getting angry and to maybe see the other side. To come up with some tools to really avoid getting in trouble, going into a gang, and eventually ending up in prison.
Yeah.
I mean, that's what the end goal is, to avoid that.
Yeah. And I think, there's one thing to sit in a classroom or a workshop or something and have somebody talk at you, but to participate on this level and then to actually be part of the program, I can see how that would be really powerful in changing a person's outlook, their behavior, all of that.
And the workshops it's not all open heart surgery. There are lots of little games and break the ice activities that we do, and it's tailored to the group. So if most of the participants have a problem with fighting, then they might do some role playing on how to avoid an instance where fighting might occur.
So do you do a little, how do you find out, how do you tailor what you're giving at the workshop to the participants? Do you have like a form they fill out and you ask a bunch of questions, or do you talk to them before?
With the intake, so the outreach coordinators get referred a student or their group of students, and then they have to get permission from the families, and they sign releases, and they get to know what from the school and from the student and their families what the situation is. And that's when a lot of the outreach coordinating and referrals happens as well. It's kind of an ongoing thing. And then the workshops they're not academic, they're very activity, behavior mod based, and they can be modified right during the workshop. They're different exercises, some lasting 10 minutes, some lasting an hour and a half. And if the hour and a half exercise, it's a role-playing exercise. If it's going too long, then you can just tailor it. And the facilitators, they're not up in the front of the room lecturing. They're sitting in a circle. It's very inclusive.
So
when the facilitators need to make a change, they don't go into a corner or another room. They stand in front of everybody, and it's very no secrets, which I like. It's fun. It's really a fun and very
Oh, that's great. So now you say it started as an international movement.
Well, it started actually when the Attica prison riots happened in New York, and several prisoners were killed or died from the riots, and the prisoners said, "We can do better than this. We are able to solve some of these problems." So they drew from the Martin Luther King Foundation, Quakers, and just sort of what was going on in the 60s with the protests for the Vietnam War. It was kind of a birth from that, and there were manuals that were composed and used, and so when you do take this training for facilitators workshop, you do get your own manual, which has all the exercises.
Okay, so is it the national or the international office that helps with that training and provides that material?
The internet, I'm not really experienced. I don't know much about the international. I've just heard that it is.
Oh,
You can
okay,
look
okay.
on AVP International. There is a website, but AVP California is primarily with the penitentiaries.
Okay, okay.
AVP USA is where it started. So
Oh,
it
wow,
started.
right.
It started,
I get
and
it.
it's just sort of percolated to different states and prisons, and then we are now working with the at-risk youth,
So who helps you with the training then?
the facilitators.
Oh,
We have
so your very own facilitators.
It's
so,
all.
so it's not like the national or the statewide organization comes and does that for you.
No, we do it ourselves.
Okay.
And
Gosh.
some people volunteer to provide food. Some people,
Yeah.
the two of our 3 employees do the facilitations a lot, along with other members of the community that have been trained.
What a powerful program. So, all right, so volunteers. Let's talk about volunteers. You probably want and need volunteers.
Always,
Is that,
always, yeah. We're always we need volunteers. We need funding because there is such a need for these services
Yes.
in both further south, and in Lompoc. We're soon to go up into Lompoc because they have a real need, and we actually will qualify for federal grants at that point.
that's great.
Yeah, you apparently have to. I think I have this right. You have to have 9 murders in a community within a year, and then you qualify for federal
Yeah.
money, and Santa Maria has that.
Oh gosh.
So there's a great need in the community.
Yeah,
I think
yeah.
the pandemic made things even worse
Yeah.
because a lot of the children who were not in school often didn't have access to internet, and they couldn't do remote learning, and so everybody was stressed.
Yeah.
Parents were stressed, kids were stressed, teachers were stressed. So we're sort of, I think, doing some cleanup from that.
Well, that's great that you're going to be branching out to especially places that really need it.
Yeah.
I mean, not that we don't, because of course we do,
We
but I
do,
mean,
yeah.
they have a great need there.
Yeah.
So, all right, so you are a 501c3.
Mm-hmm.
People can make tax-deductible donations.
Yes.
And they can go on your website
Yes.
and find out how to do that, how to make a donation. They
Mm-hmm.
can find out how to be a volunteer. If they have questions, maybe they have some violence in their own circle, they can find
Mm-hmm.
out how to engage with your group.
Yes, absolutely. Sign up for a workshop, make a donation, volunteer services, absolutely.
Gosh.
Yeah.
Well, you folks are just doing an amazing job there.
Thank you. It's very rewarding.
I'll bet. So, what does your husband think about all this as compared to the groups that he was teaching?
He's really interested. He
bet.
retired a few years ago,
Okay.
and he, knows a lot of the people involved with it, and it's we have social hours sometimes, so we've gotten to know each other, outside of AVP, and it's a nice group, and so he's part of it.
Gosh, that's good. So, I bet that you might have a story or two you would want to share with us.
Well, we just this week found out one of our outreach coordinators got a text in the evening this week from one of his kids that he was overseeing. This 13-year-old girl is just found out that she's been being used as a prostitute in Oxnard.
Oh my gosh.
And
13 years
yeah,
old.
and so he, needed to find services to get her out of trouble.
And so he's able to do that?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and there are also stories of, there's one young woman who was getting into a lot of trouble in junior high school, and she became a facilitator, became a very active facilitator, and during the course of high school she had a baby, and she continued to facilitate and graduate from high school with honors, and now she's going to City College. And so we highlight the successes too, and there are quite a few of kids who have really made this their mission.
That is wonderful. So now, right now, you primarily work in Santa Barbara? The city of Santa Barbara?
And
mostly?
Goleta.
Oh, in Goleta.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, we get Santa Barbara Unified School District, the junior highs and the 3 high schools and the continuation school send us referrals. The vice principals and counselors will refer us.
That's great.
Refer students to the outreach coordinators.
And so it sounds like you do a lot of collaborating with the schools and with other organizations.
Yes. One grant that we got from Cottage Health was just about that. It was
really
measuring. It was you had to report in quarterly how many of the other recipients had been referred. So that was a nice way to see the evidence of Santa Barbara AVP referring a student to AHA, or Freedom for Youth getting some of our students, so that was a neat one.
And isn't that just the best way to work these days is collaborating with others so that everybody contributes what they're the best at.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, because we don't know the legal system. We are not counselors. We just have our one little niche, and there are plenty of other resources that we have access to, which is great.
Gosh. Well, let's see, Jessica, we've got about a minute left. Is there anything else that you'd like to share with our viewers?
Well, just go visit us on our website and check it out. And we're growing, and we're really excited about the future. And we've got some lovely office space up in Paseo Nuevo. So,
oh, nice.
Yeah, so stay tuned.
Well, good for you. And I hope you get lots of financial donations and volunteers and all in the very near future.
Well, thank you. So nice talking with you.
Thank you so much for being with us and sharing your very inspiring story.
Oh, thank you.
And thanks for joining us on 805 Focus, and we'll see you next time.